All that stuff.
Meaning it's rooted in the Torah. Okay. You see all different categories. Mark was trying to get in. Hey, Mark. Morning, Adam. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good to see you. Welcome to welcome.
Thank you. What's in my background?
What'd you say? Nice background. What?
No, I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it?
I don't like San Francisco. It's too liberal.
I hear you. Okay. To me, it's just I see a bridge. Good, I hear you. Okay. We are on 42, 42B. What number? David, 42B what? Let's see, the bottom, 42B, the bottom of the page. 42B, 42B3. No, maybe you're right. 42B2. Up to 2. Not at the bottom yet. Okay. We just to just a little bit background. We have something called muksa on Shabbat, and there are many reasons why the rabbis forbade us to handle certain things on Shabbat. The Chafetz Chaim has a whole introduction in chapter 308, where he says, the Rambam says, what's the reason for muksa? He says the rabbis told us that the walk on Shabbat should be different than the walk during the week. The speech on Shabbat should be different than the speak during the week. You don't talk business on Shabbat. You don't say what stock you're buying this week. Right, David? Right? You got to be careful, right, David? We don't tell people stock tips on Shabbat, what you should buy, because Shabbat, the speech on Shabbat needs to be what? Different than the speech during the week. Because we don't want, even the walk on Shabbat is supposed to be different than the week. It shouldn't be, that rush walk that we have on the weekdays, David. It's supposed to slow the pace down on Shabbat. Slow the pace down on Shabbat. The walk should be different on Shabbat. The dress is different. What you're wearing, the clothing is different, right, Adam? All different Shabbat. It shouldn't be like a weekday in your eyes. Now, and you might come, because if we don't want you to be a weekday, you might come to now. If you can't speak the regular normal speech, meaning you can't talk business on Shabbat, and you can't do other things, your walk is different on Shabbat. Certainly, what you move on Shabbat, the items that you handle on Shabbat should not be the same type of items that you handle during the weekdays, because that will make it more of a weekday type of day. We want it to be like a different type of day. And if you would handle everything, you might come to pick up things and move things from corner to corner, from house to house, and because you have a lot of time on your hands, and you're looking for something to do, right? People on Shabbat, what are they doing? They're they want to occupy their time, and what happens is, if you're going to handle everything on Shabbat, you're not resting. You're not going to be resting on Shabbat. And what the Torah says, the Rambam says, the Torah says, I want you to rest on Shabbat.
Do we go back to different kind of walking, or do they cover that soon?
We have, when our Gemara is not going to be touching on that now, but we,
My rabbi believes
say it again, Mark.
I said, my rabbi and I, he comes to me in the summer or whatever on Shabbat, and we do like a physical exercise walk. Sometimes we jog, sometimes we walk fast, but it's your heart rate goes up, and it's I qualify it as exercise.
Okay, but maybe you do,
You would not do that.
right. I mean, I personally, right. Now the question is, we have to see what it says, more details about this, but the general walk on Shabbat, I would slow it down. I would do something to show that today, that maybe the whole Shabbat he's not walking like that. He's not doing that the whole Shabbat. Maybe specific exercise, specific purpose. I mean, it says you can run even on Shabbat for the purpose of going to shul. But we have to see more. If a person just says, I want to do my regular normal weekday run. Every day I
Yeah.
do a run. I do a run at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to do a regular. So so that's something that needs to be looked into. If that's appropriate, not appropriate, we would have to. Good morning, Boker Tov. We'd have to look into what is but that's a specific type of activity. But the general walk, that's the general thing. Maybe for someone's health, that might be, and he needs it. That might be different than the general walk. But the general walk, there is a concept that your general walking on Shabbat should be different than the walking during the week. Maybe we'll look into that. Maybe in the next couple of days. Maybe we'll look at some of the halachot
Are you allowed to exercise on Shabbat?
I think you're not supposed to sweat. I think they say you have to be careful not to sweat.
Wow. He sweats, but he
Okay,
also takes a cold shower, and you don't take showers.
right.
So
So
he's cathartic.
we have to see more about it. We have to do a little more research on the subject. But
So put the shower aside, and let's even say that you're okay sweaty. That it's not like he doesn't want to stay sweated for lunch. After shul, we go for an actual jog, and he sweats,
right,
and then he takes a cold shower. I do the
right.
same. So
Right.
now
Right. Some Ashkenaz rabbis will not be happy about that. I remember Rabbi Feinstein, the blessed memory of Rabbi Feinstein. When we asked about people on Shabbat playing ball on Shabbat. Let's say kids, different age. I don't remember
right,
the age of the children.
right,
What he said for those children, for those ages, we're not talking about 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, so whatever, maybe it was, I'm guessing it was kids already 10 years old, 11, 12,
right,
whatever age that you want to try to already start training them regarding Shabbat, whatever
right.
the age was. So he said if they want to shoot around, it's one thing, but the sweat that he was now he was not he said shouldn't don't don't do intense don't do intense type of activity on Shabbat that he would sweat up. That was his opinion.
Yeah, but then in Brooklyn in the old days, that's what they used to do,
What they do? They played.
playing basketball.
I mean, a lot of Sfardim are playing basketball on Shabbat. Rabbi Feinstein, and they're playing heavy, intense games. Rabbi Feinstein would not. His opinion. I'm not saying that. I want to tell you, for a lot of people, it's better they're playing basketball than they're doing other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to also know that, depending on where the people holding. You take a guy whose father's learning in yeshiva, and you say, and the rabbi's asking a question about his own children, might be one thing. Guys have situations, but they're not yet there yet to really. If you ask yourself the question, Morning Murray, right? Is Shabbat really supposed to be a day that we're supposed to be playing basketball? I mean, is that really what Shabbat is? It's not. It's a holy day. Shabbat is a holy day. You're sweating up on Shabbat. You're sweating up on this day. So he was not. That was his That was his opinion. I can just tell you from personal.
But it depends where everyone's holding. If
And that's
someone,
what.
if you say I need to go for a jog for my mental health or my physical body,
Right.
I don't feel
Right.
good.
Right.
His
That
answer might be different.
of
And
course.
if the kid's father's not a rabbi, he might have a different answer.
Exactly. That's what I would. I would say, but I'm happy.
Okay.
We should look into that.
It's not in the spirit, although they might not spirit.
Right, but it's another category, right? But it's not in the spirit of Shabbat is also an issue. I'm saying there are certain things that you know, David, even if it's not actual work, but if it's not in the spirit, Rabbi Feinstein, I'll just tell you, guys, people on Shabbat play games on Shabbat, right? So board games, right? People play board games, but really, if you people who are on the level, you know, should people be playing board games on Shabbat? Not saying growing up as a kid, we played board games. But then you become an adult once upon it. Bez Hashem, you become an adult. You're 17, you're 16, you're 15, you're 18. You're not anymore a 10-year-old kid. So now you're a big boy. Should you be playing board games on Shabbat? Is that what Shabbat, right, David? Is that what Shabbat's about? We're playing board games, we're playing cards. It's not, right? Right, Maury? That's not what Shabbat's all about. Mark, what do you say to that? Okay, I don't know if you heard that.
I was on mute. I was on mute. I heard everything.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you see also men playing backgammon on Shabbat. What's the story with that?
Right. So so Rabbi Feinstein, I presume if Rabbi Feinstein's not alive, but he would say, is that what Shabbat's about? Now, I would say, if those people playing backgammon, if they're not going to be playing backgammon, who knows what the whole Shabbat, their mind is, they're going to be depressed, or they're not going to be happy. They're not going to, they have nothing, they're not on a level to do other things that are more important than backgammon. So let them play the backgammon. You know what I'm saying? They're not holding yet. They're not really, but that's not, I'm saying that, but really, that's not what Shabbat is about, playing backgammon on Shabbat. Is that what Shabbat is about, playing backgammon? Is that an activity that's really, are you going to play backgammon? Are people going to play backgammon on Yom Kippur? I'm not playing backgammon on Yom Kippur, but on Shabbat, I'm going to play backgammon. I'm just saying, you understand, depending who the person is, we're withholding. I think for young teenagers today's day and age, maybe it's a mitzvah for them to play backgammon, because
Right.
what else are they going to be doing on Shabbat? Right. People addicted to phones, Adam said. It's a positive step. I'm using his words. It's a positive step. They're playing backgammon or they're playing basketball. Because these kids, if they're not doing that, it's very concerning. But a grown adult, the person is of under control. You know what I mean? Why should Shabbat be that type of day? You know, that's, I mean, I remember one guy from our Shabbat yeshiva group. We had our own personal minion. We had a Shabbaton, and one of the guys asked the Rabbi Feinstein about playing games. He's a college age student but he was a stronger guy. He was a stronger guy. But I remember Rabbi Feinstein was not happy about board games. So you're a big boy. You're a big boy. You're not a baby. That was his. Even though he was not known to be strict, Rabbi David Feinstein was not known to be strict, but I have the exact language in my notes somewhere. Morning, Mark. I have the exact language what he said. But you know what? I think one of the guys asked him just on the note, what was the greatest thing that your father taught you? What your father, Moshe Feinstein, his father. So I mean, one of the guys after the Shabbat
Don't be so strict.
What? No,
Don't be so
you know what he said? I think he said not to run after money, something like that. Not to love money, not to run after money. How do you like that? Meaning, out of all the things, the greatest rabbi the greatest rabbi in the Ashkenaz community in modern times, what could he have taught you? He was known for his humility, known for his greatness in learning, whatever you name it. But what did he say? What did he say he taught me? Not to love money, run after money. That's
going back to this whole subject about don't play a board game, don't play backgammon, don't play this, will not experience that. My rabbi told me, he said, you have kids today, one of them struggle with this or that, you want to say iPhone, phones, whatever the thing is, even electricity, it's the one thing. He said the most important thing you could do,
keep them busy.
no. He said, whatever they do, lessen the sin. There's a concept of lessen the sin. So a guy says, oh, I do this, I might as well use TV because I use the light. Or I might as well even use my phone because I use the light. For guys holding, I won't use my phone on Shabbat, but I turn on the light in my bathroom. That's already better.
He's doing something.
Right. Another guy, he wanted to stop eating out. His father went bananas on him. Because his father used to go out to dinner out on kosher restaurant. So the guy said, no, no, only going out my father to dinner. Without, I'll eat out with my father. His father was not holding. His father wanted to eat in a regular restaurant, not a kosher restaurant. His kid says, I'm going to start keeping kosher eating out, except when I go with my father. So you'd say, wait a minute, you're eating a kosher. No. So the concept of lessen the sin is a real thing. I love it. I happen to love that. And it also gives you a place of growing, because if you say, oh, my father was upset with me, now I'm going to eat out with everybody. You're not going to get to the place where one day you can tell your father, really, I love you, Pop, but I'm ready. You know? So lessening the sin, whether it's basketball or
Backgammon
whatever we're talking about, is a very nice idea of that, of lessening the sin.
Right, but-
I personally.
Right, but I think that's only true when you feel that the only way to get to the goal is by doing it in that fashion. You know what I'm saying? I think your rabbi might feel if the son is going to take on his father, not to restrict himself from eating out, it's not sustainable. The relationship is not going to work. It's going to make it more difficult for him to grow as general. Maybe that's. And no, I'm saying, but if let's say the son is able to go ahead and say, I'm not going to eat out. I'm not even eating out with my father, and he's able to handle it, and he has the backbone, the koach, and that, and maybe his father will give in, and they'll say, and maybe someone could talk to the dad, and knock some sense into the dad to say, Dad, what are you doing? Your son is, some kids are going for drugs, and your son is doing this. Be proud of your son. You know what? There are not enough good kosher restaurants. You have to. What?
How about the kid who does use the phone? I think that's good.
Right. I'm saying, right. Okay, the kid of use. I think that's a very big point. Meaning, if someone is not yet ready to do everything, it's very important. It's not all or nothing. That's the point. People make. We had this situation, Nefesh school. They just ran a Shabbaton, and one of the girls said, because I do this, so I might as well do that. And then the teacher said, no. Exactly. So the teacher said, no. The fact that you do that, the fact that you're not on Shabbat, whatever you're not holding, whatever you're supposed to be holding, it doesn't mean that you became the Shabbat guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, no, you don't need to be the Shabbat guy. The fact that you don't do this, whatever reason in life you're holding, you're not, whatever your situation, your family situation, whatever your personal situation is, does not mean that because you did this wrong. Now, this is exactly a very powerful point. Because in fact, if you don't look at yourself like you don't keep anything. Because everything you keep, so today you kept 30% or 40%, and eventually, Rabbi London, my father-in-law of blessed memory, who was a legend, he's credited with the first Baal Tshuva yeshiva in the world in the 1940s. How did he work with Nefesh? What did he tell the girls? He said, keep 1 hour of Shabbat. 1 hour of Shabbat. Rabbi London, what are you saying? But his concept was, he wanted to say you could keep 1 hour of Shabbat. Right. You keep 1 hour of Shabbat. It's not all or nothing. You kept 1 hour. Next week, we're going to go for 2 hours. You see, you could do it. We don't say, okay, Rabbi only kept 1 hour. What is that? What's the value of that? It's value of whatever. That's what he was saying, and therefore you could, like you said, then you build, like you said, the same way now you have the room to build. That was Rabbi London's idea, and he was very successful. Bless his memory. Okay. Now, we were just saying the Rambam, the different reasons for mukseh, and the Rambam, the Chafetz Chaim brings other reasons. He says, if you're gonna be handling everything on Shabbat, maybe you're gonna come to do certain things that will lead a malacha, would be at work. So there's many reasons why the rabbis don't want the day to be like a regular it shouldn't appear to be like a weekday. And we don't want your hands, you might lead to sin. So there are many reasons for the issue of muktzeh. Getting back, we are on 42b2, okay, almost by 3. What we said last time, we ended off, was the Mishnah stated you can't put a utensil under a lamp that's dripping to catch the oil on Shabbat. You want to catch the oil. You're just putting a plate underneath to catch the oil, right, Eddie? We said you can't put a plate to catch the oil. Why can't I put a plate to catch the oil? So the Gemara we're holding now is that Rabbah explained the reason is because you can move something. Now let's understand the oil that's dripping. Good morning, David. The oil that's dripping is muktzeh. The oil that's dripping from the lamp, the oil had the wick in it. It was on fire before, right? And now the oil's coming. That oil is muktzeh. Now to move this opinion holds. I can't move something for the purpose of muktzeh. I want to go ahead and move this plate to catch the muktzeh. So it's now it will become, the plate will become muktzeh when the thing comes into it. But his issue is I'm moving a movable item for something which is not movable. I'm moving a plate for an immovable item for the purpose of a muktzeh. I'm not allowed to do that. But if it would be moving a movable item for the purpose of a muktzeh item, but it's something which is a common save, we said, if it's something that's commonly needed, it's normally needed for me to do that. Like we said, the chicken generally the hen lays its eggs by the garbage area. People walk there to take out their garbage. And what happens is if I don't cover the egg will get broken. People will walk on the egg. So he says, therefore, I could go ahead and cover the egg, put a cover on top of the egg. The egg that was laid on Shabbat is muktzeh, but when I put the cover on top of it, I'm moving a cover, which is a movable item, for a utensil for the purpose for a muktzeh purpose, to protect the muktzeh. I could do that because that's a common save. And I was thinking of Mark because, see, the rabbis were lenient for preventing your loss because you're going to lose the egg. In this case, the rabbi said, we're going to take your financial situation into consideration in this particular case because this is the norm. Right. But not always do they take, because if we said, again, I'm not moving muktzeh, Mark. I'm moving one under it. I'm not moving the oil. I'm not moving the egg. Exactly. So your question was, could I move muktzeh to protect from loss, right? That we're not seeing that you could do that, right? I said you can't just, if you leave something out, in the sun, and you're afraid that it's going to get ruined, we're not going to allow because of muktzeh, because you might get a loss, just to move the item.
But by covering it with a
plate, let's say.
Plate or upside down bowl or cover or something like that. It's not. What's the question?
The question is because you're moving a bowl for the purpose of something that's muktzeh. So the question, how far did the rabbis go? The rabbis said, I can't move muktzeh on Shabbat. But right. But the question is, included in the prohibition of not moving muktzeh, did they also include? Well, I mean, right. I mean, what's the concern? Right.
If I take this cup, I put it over here, I put it over here, I put it over here, I put it over here. One of them is over the egg.
Right.
I never touched the egg.
Right. But you're being involved. You're being involved in items. You're dealing with things the same way. I can't move this item, and maybe we don't want you handling things that are not that don't have use, or we don't want you handling things that were not prepared. We don't want you to be involved in Shabbat. We're moving things. This type of movement, the rabbis are restricting moving things on Shabbat, and we said there are different reasons why the rabbi said you can't move things on Shabbat. We want to limit how much you move, how much you handle on Shabbat. We're looking to keep you resting on Shabbat. Keep it. We don't want you getting busy the whole.
Move my couch.
Right, right. Technically, you can move your couch on Shabbat.
A lot more than putting a pole.
Right, right. But because you're not involved, because a couch inherently is not a muksa item. It's not a muksa item. But you can move the couch. I would say, if you're going to sweat up on Shabbat, I don't believe you should be, I'm going to be, I'm going to be moving. I decide on Shabbat, I want to move my svarim and my books and my bookshelf, and I'm going to work up a sweat. I don't think you should. That's not supposed to be doing on Shabbat. But the couch in itself is not a muksa item. But once you're involved in muksa items, whether it's the muksa item itself or perhaps at least this understanding, this opinion is we want to restrict how much you're moving things that connected with muksa. So he holds, but with that being said, if I'm moving a movable item to protect the loss of a muksa item, if this is the normal need to do, this is the normal save, it's the normal situation that the chicken lays its egg by the garbage dump, and I need to it's a common save to protect that egg. So the rabbis were lenient. That's what he understands. But if it was not a common save, right, something which what do you call it, a fluke, or something which is not the norm situation that you're going to need to do this. So the rabbis felt it's not necessary to give you an allowance even to save a muksa item by moving something which is not mukseh. To save a mukseh, if it's not the norm, the rabbis didn't feel a need to be lenient and not normal save. It's not the normal situation. The normal situation, the common loss, the rabbis say, okay, the normal situation. But the hen, the chicken laying its egg on a slopey area is not a normal thing.
Go back.
Right. You left something in the sun. Let's say you left a muksa item. You left your hammer in the sun. And now as a result of that, the sun is beating down on that hammer, and it's the type of material that the hammer is that it's going to affect the hammer. We don't allow you to move the hammer, but you could cover if it's a normal situation, you would be able to cover the hammer. Right. If it's normal that people leave. If see, we have to get into the situation. Is it normal that people leave the hammers there? You have to know how we identify what's the normal thing.
You've got something outside, and it's going to get ruined by the sun, and it's muksa. I don't know what that is, but not food or vegetables. You could move that. But if you leave something
We're saying again, covering it is one thing, moving is another. But we're talking about covering it, right? Right. You would be able to. Let's say
anything. It doesn't have to be it's normal. Where you go with this normal thing? So it got there normally, like the egg. If I have something out in my courtyard and it's getting ruined in the sun, it got there I left it there. I don't know, is that normal? I left it there.
Okay, so
I cover.
Okay, so
Allowed to cover this. Am I allowed to cover it because it got there in a normal way? Or am I allowed to cover it because I'm allowed to cover a muksa item?
right. So if you look at let's look at the translation. So the way we've been explaining, we said something that's not normal is that the case of the giving birth to the egg on a slopey area is not normal, right? So Mark, if you want to say that this is the normal situation, it's a normal case that you leave this is the norm of life. People forget something, and it's a common. What about if it would be a situation that it's something people won't forget? You see, there's two interpretations of the Gemara of what's called the normal loss, right? We said, let's say the dripping of the oil, right? The rabbis don't allow the movement of the utensil to catch the oil, right? What did the Mishnah say? You can't put a utensil under the lamp to catch the oil. What's the reason for that? Right, the Mishnah said you can't put a utensil under the thing to catch the oil. What's the reason? So, the Ritva explains Rashi because it's not common that the drip of the oil will fall from the lamp. It's not common that the oil is going to fall down. It's going to fall out. The oil usually stays in the lamp. Therefore, it's not a normal save. So if it's not a normal save, we're not going to allow you to move the plate, according to this opinion, to catch the oil.
So that's what it's about.
Normal, and therefore that's not normal. The egg giving birth to the is not the normal situation. Wax might be normal, but not oil, according to this.
Okay,
So according to that, wax is normal. According to that, wax is normal. That's normal drip. No problem. That's a common save. According to this opinion. According to this opinion, we'll see. This opinion will say you could. Exactly. Now, there's a total different explanation that Tosfos has. He says like this, that it is common that oil drips. And if it's common that oil drips, so the normal thing is, if you're putting a candelabra on before Shabbat, you put, you see a Havdalah candle. What do you do by Havdalah candle? You put something underneath, right? You do it before Shabbat. If you didn't do it before Shabbat, that's not normal not to put it before Shabbat. So if you didn't put it there before Shabbat, now you can't put it on Shabbat because that's not a common thing. So that would answer your question. According to that, if you forget, that's your fault. Right. That's the other two different ways of the understanding. So therefore, according to that, Mark, the wax, you should have put the plate there before Shabbat, and therefore it's not a common occurrence that you have the situation, you have the wax coming down, and you need to put something there, and therefore we will not allow you, according to that, to put the plate. There's two different understandings in the Gemara. And right. Right. Maybe if it's the man doing it instead of the woman doing it. The woman knows what to do. Now the Gemara said, Abaye. So Abaye is challenging what we said. Are you telling me something which is a save that's not a common save? They didn't allow? But this is what we ended off last week. Nishbara lo chavitz on Monday. Nishbara lo chavitz tevel b'rosh gago. Right? You had a barrel of tevel. We said tevel is produce that you didn't take off the maaseh and the truma. And the barrel broke. It was on top of your roof. Now, maybe you could take a utensil, menir tachtea. You could put it underneath the barrel to catch the wine. But how could you go ahead and catch the wine? You're catching the produce. The produce is mukseh. Yes, because you have no use for it. You can't eat it. I can't eat the produce on Shabbat. It's not prepared food. It's off limits. So mukseh means it's separated from me. I'm not going to use it, right, David? So therefore, yet we say the rabbis say I could put the barrel to catch the wine that's not taifs yet, in order to save the wine, even though the wine is mukseh. What? For financial concern, I'm moving a non-mukseh item to save a mukseh item. We're allowed you, and even though it's not a common save, it's not common that a barrel should break, that it should break. It's not a normal thing. So we allow you to move a non-mukseh item to save a mukseh item, even in a non-normal common way. And the Gemara says, no, you're talking about the gufi chadati. The new barrels, the shchichet baki. A lot of times it's a hole. It's the old barrels that have been, the old barrels that stay strong. But the new barrels, maybe the Gemara is saying that they have it, until they're broken in, they can break easier. and therefore it's a common occurrence. Therefore, since it's a common occurrence, they allowed you to do it on Shabbat. We'll see more tomorrow. Welcome everybody back. Because it's the Gemara's understanding, according to this opinion, because it's a common save. It's a normal, but let's say if it would be an old barrel, the Gemara say you will not be able to save it. According to this,
You can say that barrel, you can't say that barrel, you know, people don't know what to do.
so you're saying, how do people know what's normal? Everyone knows everyone knows the old barrels are the. Okay, that's okay. We'll see. Yeah, exactly. It's later. Yes. But again, we're not saying this is the halacha. We're just saying we're going through
We always talk about what you do. People see what you do,
right.
So if even in this case, if they see
Yes.
catching the wine
From the
a
new barrel.
I'm gonna see that as I catch the old barrel.
Right. But again, it could be right. So it could be a lot of times. If the issue is a rabbinic issue, they might be more lenient. Meaning, even if they make that mistake, if the rabbis might not have to be so concerned that you make that mistake, because even if you make that mistake, it will be a rabbinic issue. It's not going to lead to a violation of Torah. So I'm saying, I understand, but maybe they might not have to go so far. They might not go so far to restrict you from saving this, but maybe you're going to make a mistake between an old barrel and new. And if you do make the mistake, it's, at the end, it's still only a rabbinic issue.